We are live.
Right.
Come on, Substack Live.
Yay.
Come on in, folks.
Mhm.
Woo.
Yay.
Wait a few moments as people
Okay.
in, and we'll just introduce ourselves.
Okay. It's
About
great to have
hey,
people join us on a Friday evening Eastern time.
mm-hmm.
That's a
Oh,
wonderful thing.
okay, everyone's coming. Hey, hello from
Hi,
Frozen.
Randall from Frozen. Okay. Hi. Hey, Bill.
Hi, everyone. Come on in. Just as everyone's coming in, maybe say a word or two in the chat if you feel comfortable about how you are entering in. Like what, it's a Friday. How you feeling? Feel free to talk in the chat and feel free throughout our conversation. Feel free to put stuff in the chat. I'm a chatter. Um, so if you want a stream of consciousness in the chat, you can, but welcome
Awesome.
everyone.
Awesome. Put my glasses on so I can see everybody more clearly, not just Robert, but everybody.
Thank God it's Friday. Okay, yes.
I hear you, Florence.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Everyone, again, welcome. Okay, Johanna. Yes, so glad to see.
Hey.
Okay, so my name is Robert. Some call me Robert the Contemplative. Others call me different things, but I have the Substack that some of you are subscribed to called Musings from a Broken Heart. And a bit about me before I introduce my wonderful guests.
Mm.
Uh, we're cross pollinating right now. Oh, hi,
Yes.
William.
Yeah.
Is I am a doctoral student, a third year. I see the end in sight is drawing nigh. Uh,
Awesome. Yay.
yeah, for a year, I think. But it is in there. I see it.
You see it?
And yeah, and I am a disability advocate and a disability ethicist, a theoethicist to be exact. And so a lot of my work is around the Black body and the Black mind and thinking about how different people relate to the body, right? So that's my work. And I'm a poet. And I am joined by Netta Faye.
Hey,
Welcome.
y'all.
Hey, and
Yeah,
we'll be,
hey. I'm
hey,
from the area where people where we say contemplative.
I know, I love that. Like, come on.
Robert says contemplative.
Yeah, cool like you. Um, and we're going to be talking about your book, the book of Burnett, 42 Truths for Living Life Well, Fully, and Without Regret. But just tell us a bit about yourself and about the people. Oh, what's up? Stanley is in the room. Hey, Stanley.
Okay, Stanley. I
Um,
don't know Stanley, but hey, Stanley.
yeah.
Yeah, happy to. I'm Netta Faye. I created True Self Society on Substack. I've been a writer for a long time. Started out in corporate writing, then left there and started doing freelance and different things like that. My mission is to help us, but especially Black women, because that's a journey I know most about, live, love, and learn our true self, which at the core, I believe, is divinity, divine, and how we walk back to that and express that in today's world, whatever situation. And in doing that, I believe we get to live on 10, elevated, free, and joy filled every day. Doesn't mean happiness all the time, and it doesn't mean without challenge. But to me, there's a thing about joy that can show up in any situation, even in sorrow. Yeah, so that's me.
Okay. That's
Uh-huh.
the, I like it. I like it. I
Yeah.
have I have a couple of questions, and this is more of a chat. And I just want to have just kind of a dialogue with you around
Yes.
your book. I was so pleasantly surprised when I started reading that you were depicting and picturing the life of your father and
Mhm.
some of his wisdoms. And it felt like, as a contemplative, it felt like you were cherishing all of these wisdoms and like these threads of thoughts and just putting them on the table. And so I guess my first question to you is like, what the legacy of man is not very great. Just men in general. It's a lot of coming to the carpet, coming to Jesus moments happening in society. So,
Yes.
like, what does it mean for you to write this type of book, capturing your father's legacy and wisdom right now? Like, yeah, speak to the
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It means a lot. And I grew up, thankfully, in a household with two great parents. They were kind of two peas in a pod, in agreement on most things. And they grew up Black Baptist Christian in everything that entails, the fried chicken and the Sunday dinners and the uh, three times on Sunday meetings and BTU, all of what that entailed. But I did learn as I grew up that it wasn't just an event for them. They actually believed it and they lived it and they had an intention to walk it. So when I arrived into their household, they were active in church. My dad was a community leader and he was a church leader, Sunday school superintendent and all that thing. He loved community and the church was a big part, a center part of community, so he was active there. And through his experience in raising a young family with three children, I have two older brothers, he experienced life. And as he experienced life, he started to share his lessons with my brothers and me. So he would, when he came out of some financial struggles, he started talking about how you take care of money and how you think about money and how you interact with money, what you do and what you don't do. And when it moved to other things, he started to do all of that. So through our lives, we would hear these truths and these wisdoms and these nuggets that he would drop for us. Um,
Mm,
and then when we grew up and started to have families and work and life and all that stuff, those things started to become real. And I
mm,
started to remember, okay, wait, these are the things dad was talking about. Oh, now I see what he meant. Now, et cetera. They start to become my truths and things that I'm now living and trying improving.
mm,
Fast forward, he left this realm 5 years ago in December. And since that time, my brothers and I, when we talk on the phones, these things would still come up. And every time I would think of things, or talk to my children, I would say some of these things to them. And it dawned on me to start writing them down and collecting them. And when I talked to my brother, collecting them, and we collected a lot. And then I thought, I should put this down on paper. I should put it in a book. So I had to think, okay, well, some of these things we didn't get the full story behind. But then I had to kinda commune with my dad, from where he is now and try to get some background. What were you going through when you said this? What were you thinking about? What was happening? Where did you get this from? And some of
mm,
these 40 truths he birthed, and some of them he borrowed, but all of them he lived. And I think it's important to start remembering what our ancestors left for us. Like,
mhm,
in the world we live in now, and what we're seeing in a lot of different communities of different shades of color, um, we a lot of these things are not new, and a lot of these things our ancestors have, come through and conquered more than once, in their lifetime, and those patterns shouldn't be for nothing for us. We should look back at them and say, what can I draw from this? What were they trying to teach? What did they learn? How do I incorporate this in my life right now so that I make better decisions and I get to live a life that I want to live based on what they've already done. So I don't have to repeat it. So a lot of the things that was happening with my putting this down on paper, with my brothers was the wisdom that dad left for us to spare us. So he never wanted us to make the mistakes that he had made or whatever his lessons he learned. He wanted us to use that so we wouldn't have to go that path. So yeah, we might make mistakes. We're gonna do some things, but his thoughts was don't do something I've already tried. You don't have to try it. And that's one
Mhm.
of the big things now, I think. We don't have to guess in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, no, I love that. So I what's funny is as I was reading like the preface and the foreword, I couldn't help but put my father in conversation with your father,
Mm.
and some of it annoyed me, some of it made me cry because it was eerie how much was similar, right? And I was reading, I'm like, oh, that used to annoy me the hell out of me as a kid. Some truth or wisdom, but hey man, some wasn't always glad with glad tidings. Uh,
Yep.
but the older I get, I will say, hearing you in this return to ancestral wisdom, I have found that over the years, when I hit my 30s, I was like, well, okay, maybe my dad wasn't crazy after. I mean, maybe there was like a touch of he knew what he was
Mm,
talking.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, and then by 40, I'm like, okay, no, he really did. He has some wisdom, and the
Yes.
one that made me laugh out loud was, I think it was the chapter "Never Be Broke."
Mhm.
In that idea where his mother taught him to, and his siblings to always keep a dollar.
Yeah.
I my father, the the way he was saying, he said, "You always keep a little money in your pocket. You always like if you leave the house, you gotta have a little something
Yeah.
in your pocket." And he would tell us, "If you don't have any money, don't leave the house."
Mm. Wow.
And he said, "You don't go on a trip and you don't got $20 in your pocket." And that has always stayed with me. That it seemed annoying as a child. Because I
Mhm.
was like, "Why are
Mhm.
you telling me? I
Yeah.
would never this
Yeah.
humble abode." But I realized he was passing down wisdom that he had borrowed, to use your words, and it was a love letter to me as a son.
It
He didn't
was.
out love like in traditional ways that we would say, "I love you," but that was the best that he could give. So talk about that both the never.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that touches me so much because I can imagine your dad and maybe my dad not just hearing that because maybe their parents or grandparents told them, but they at some point experienced it. They lived it. They were caught somewhere with not enough money in their pocket or didn't have any money pocket, and they had to figure out, what do I do in this situation? And that confirmed to them, never leave home without some money in your pocket. And then they were making sure we got the message so we would not be the ones standing somewhere needing a dime. Okay, let me date myself. A dime or a quarter for the pay telephone to call for help and not have it. And if we think about what our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents had to navigate, it was much more difficult than what we're navigating now, not to diminish what we're navigating. But think about the era they were in, very little technology, no probably transportation like we do now. They had to survive, thrive, navigate things much more manually than we do. But they were wise to how to, they were shrewd. They knew how to connect things. They trusted neighbor, right? They had the fortune of being able to trust neighbor. So if something were to happen, they could go over to Mr. John's house and Miss Sarah, and they could help them figure out whatever thing to do. Um, They knew, and they were trying to pass it on to us. But, in the fashion of children coming up, right, we know better. We're
Mm.
hard-headed. We wanna
Uh, I,
carve
I,
our own way.
I'm double hard headed. Hey. No, I
Yeah.
love that. Like you're pulling on. I mean, what you're saying is making me so tender towards my father made a lot of mistakes. I have to say that. I mean, a lot.
Yeah,
As,
yeah, 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 and this is not about mistake-free living,
yes, yeah,
right?
it's not.
The Book of Burnett is not about mistake-free living.
Yeah,
Right.
and what it's giving me, it's tenderizing this place in me of being curious towards the wisdom strands that my father was giving me. Uh,
Yes.
there was reason behind it. It was
Yes.
random, although it seemed random to me. Even when you just said that this was probably born out of a time where they didn't, never be broke, and this
Yeah.
insistence on having money in your pocket
Yeah.
probably came out of a painful story
Yes.
and a pain point, and so it's making me curious about those things that shaped my father and his father,
Mhm.
and her mother, right? And so that's when I
Mhm.
there seems to be both curiosity and respect. Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely, because for us, it in our children, those people behind us, it's a matter of inconvenience. Never be broke. It's a matter of convenience or inconvenience. For them, it was life or death. Can't how do I get back home type of a thing. With us, it's a little bit different,
mhm,
with being broke. So it did come from a, serious learning for them. And as you said, Robert, it was passing along love. It was a form of love for them to take the time to say that. Before you leave the house, make sure you have a dollar in your pocket,
mhm.
right? Because also they want you to come back home because from their, what they've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
No,
they've
for real.
learned.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hear it. That like
Mm.
never be broke until like my father. Hey, you don't go on vacation and be front with the people who don't have no money. And so my father probably would be like, "Don't Klarna pay me that." Like if you don't have, you stay in the house.
Yeah.
Haven't always listened to that. Well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yep,
yeah.
yep, yep, yep. One that uh, that comes up a lot for me that I've said a lot, especially to my children, is not to beat a failure but a try. That was a big one for my dad because his thing was also, you know, take responsibility to make opportunity for yourself. Don't cut yourself short by not even trying.
Mhm,
If you have an idea, most of he would think there's some spirit led leading into that. Calculate what it means, but nothing beats a failure but a try. If you don't try, you've already failed. So
mhm.
that's
I
another one of those.
I like it. I want to read one of my favorite ones that's in
Okay.
here. My chat stopped. So if people are still chatting, feel free if you have any questions. Maybe it's working on Neta's end, but
Yeah, it
mine,
looks like it.
yeah, so mine just stopped. So if y'all have questions, comments,
Yeah.
go ahead
Yeah,
and Neta can read them. But let me
yeah,
read
everybody.
while you catch up on the chat. So
Okay.
chapter 7 says, think twice, speak once. And so it says, one piece of advice I share often is to think twice, speak once. I like to think of it as a green light for the mind and a brake pedal for the mouth. Whoa. Uh, and a piece of wisdom that many learn too late. Words, once released, do not return politely to where they came from. Thinking twice is both hesitation and honor. And I don't know. Let me skip down to even this part where ships can collapse under words that were meant as jokes. Career is often stalled by a moment of quick honesty, that forgot to be wise, and
Mhm.
healing begin with one thoughtful sentence spoken at exactly the right time. Same mouth, same tongue, different discipline. Child, that's a word right there. How you expect us to just be reading, Moses? That is a whole sermon. That's devotional.
It is, and it makes me laugh, and wherever my dad is, it's probably making him laugh too, because he so enjoyed that type of dialogue, because he feels like it was lifting somebody, is helping somebody, is lifting you up, making you better, and he enjoyed that most of all. And, he was a pastor's pastor, he pastored a church for almost 50 years, and he loved shepherding, that shepherding spirit of, bringing people together and helping you to be, um, advanced or elevated, especially if you wanted to. If he
Mm,
figured out, okay, you're not ready, you don't want to, then he, said, "Oh, yeah, it's all good, everything." But if you really want to, he was really into that. And
mm,
that was one of the things too, think twice, speak once. Because of those things you just read, we can do a lot of harm for just blurting it out without thinking. But we
mhm,
always have a moment. We always have a chance to pause and to
mhm,
think about what is my intention, what's really happening here, what do I want to achieve? Because I
mm,
don't have to react to whatever this thing is, you know.
mm.
Yeah, which is similar to that DM you and I had earlier. I mean, way before now. That's a good example of you thinking twice, speaking once.
'Cause I was high for a second. I said, "Wait a minute, you don't even know me like that, so you probably don't." I think what it calls to mind for me is I have a few, toxic traits in my life. One of them is over-explaining, and I learned to over-explain myself because I grew up in a household where I did not feel safe.
Mm.
And I felt that I had to learn how to overtalk, right? So, this thinking before, wasn't it wasn't honored. And so I learned to over explain. And
Mm.
so that has led me down any number of troubles of not taking the time to contemplate and think before responding, before putting myself in someone's shoes. And so
Mhm.
that's been a learning process is really like, no, like even someone you love, I refuse to give benefit of the doubt for people I don't know.
Mhm.
But I can be generous.
Mhm.
I can be generous and assume that the world doesn't revolve around me.
Mhm.
So most people probably aren't trying to harm me,
Mhm.
interpersonally. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not the center of the universe. So keeping that in my mind, it allows me to pause,
Yes.
time to think, to say, okay, what does this person mean? Like ask a question. But I've really had to work on that in my
Mm.
life to down and say, okay, what what do you mean by this? Rather I which that was a trauma response. I learned how to be quick tongued
Yes. Sure.
because being soft hearted wasn't honored when I grew up. And
Sure.
so I love this idea of words really do have weight. And once you say it, you cannot take it back, even if
Right.
the apologizes or agrees with you, the harm is still there. So
Yeah, yeah, and if there is apologies, maybe there's opportunity to understand,
mhm,
and which could help a situation, so it may not break the relationship, but hopefully could open doors to understand. Um, hey, Jackie, I see she popped in here too. Hey, um, one of the things though in your writing, it comes through that you have practice this and
mhm,
you have evolved and maybe matured in that, and I think that is a practice and an intention
Mhm.
to not feel compelled to just react or, as Burnett would say, hastily make a decision. Haste make waste was another one of his things. But,
I wrote that down too. How are you reading my notes
no,
right
I'm
now?
not read I know, but maybe Burnett is reading your note. But, it's a practice. And one of the things you write about a lot, which I so appreciate, is men embracing their divine feminine energy.
Mhm,
And a lot of these things that my dad left in these 42 truths, he had many, but these 42 revolve around that type of energy.
mhm,
And he, especially looking back, he was a man's man, but he definitely balanced out his masculine energy with his feminine energy. And he was fine doing that pause or giving people, the benefit of the doubt or even taking the short end of the stick. And
mhm.
his thing was if there's somebody going to be owed in this situation, let it be me because
Wow.
I'm okay with that. And that is like I said, it's a practice, it's a maturing, it's a evolving, but it's a divine feminine energy that a lot of time is disrespected in this world. In the patriarchate, toxic masculinity world, it's all guns blazing and you shoot and ask questions later.
It's
That
true.
is everybody's dead then. That just
I thank you for that reflection. I think as I was reading, I again I felt the echoes of my own father and the echoes of my own journey to a healthy masculinity, to deconstructing. I grew up with constructs of masculinity that never rang true for me. I'm from Chicago, and like you definitely never wanted to be called soft. You never wanted to,
and cry.
yeah, crying was a no. My father hated that I cried. I could cry for anything. It could be a day that ends in Y. I'm happy I cry. I'm sad I cry. I just cry
Mhm,
a lot.
mhm.
And my father hated me for that. He really didn't understand that portion of me, and I was faced with learning to be a man that had to be divorced from emotions. And so
Mhm.
a lot of the journey that I kind of spill out on the pages of Substack is this journey to wholeness. And that has meant I've had to put down a lot of messages of lies that, men cannot be nurturing, men cannot be emotional, men cannot be emotionally intelligent. And that is not true. That
That's not
like
true.
and I thank Bell Hooks for her work, and
Mhm,
that I'm thankful for brothers on Substack like Stanley or Alex or Mark or
mhm,
Jamal or in other
mhm.
ones who are talking about that journey that you're saying towards like, yo, I can be soft and that doesn't make me less of a man. It doesn't make it actually
Mhm.
a man. I can be whole. I can practice the art of loving. And
Yes.
that's a journey. You're right.
Yes. Yes, it's a big journey, particularly in a society that tells you the opposite. So you gotta fight against that. You gotta unpeel things that were layered upon you. But if we look back at our history and our ancestors, the men who were there, they were more whole. They could do hair. They could do a lot of things, and they had their traumas and they had to deal with things in a certain way. My grandfather, my dad's dad, he was an alcoholic. My dad grew up in that. And I think probably from that, it taught him how not to be, which sometimes we can know what to be after seeing what not to be. That's just
Pocket.
as valuable, right? It's just as
Yeah.
valuable. But, my dad, cooked breakfast on Saturdays, and my niece got sick one period. He kept her when she was out of school for 2 days and things. Yeah, black men have that. We do that. And we just need to see more of it and reframe the narrative, rewrite the narrative on what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And women play a role in that too. We should be okay seeing a black man cry.
Yeah.
There's some power in that, right? There's some power in that balance, that wholeness,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I think, like, I I think we're all can be part of rewriting that narrative if we allow ourselves to, right? Because, my journey into that whole space was prompted by Black women around me, encouraging me, telling me, things that I did not see back then. I
Mm.
remember the first person to tell me, because I learned how to be hard. I learned how to be mean and
Mhm.
real man. Except for fixing things. I can't fix yeah, anything. I call but I I learned how to be a real man. And I remember this is now maybe 20, like 2 years ago. An older like almost like an older sister in my life, in the church said,
Mhm.
one day you're gonna be so sensitive and you're gonna be, crying and teaching, men how to, embrace that.
Wow.
Now I wish I had a happy ending and saying like, and I received that word with gladness. I was like, girl, get out of here. I'm not that type of man.
Wow.
Well, she was right. 27
She was right. Yeah. Yeah. You couldn't hear it then, but look at what yeah. Look at now.
of her labor, but I
Yeah.
am that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Is she around to see that?
She isn't,
Okay.
and which saddens me because she really there was power in her speaking those things that she could see in me that were like deep hidden
Yeah.
treasure. They were
Yeah.
deep down was mean as hell at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
She could see beyond all of that.
but
And
she's
I believe she's seeing it now. And she's probably saying, I told Robert.
no, but I think there's this power in both you honoring the works and the words of Black men, and you are part of shaping, you know, other Black men being formed, right? And so it's both, and you're honoring your father who came before you, and uh, you are part of shaping that next generation too. So it's like you're speaking from experience and you're speaking in too, right? So
Yeah, yeah. I hope so. I hope so. This is more a stewarding, because for that reason, I want to take myself out of it in a lot of sense to just say, hey, as retold, this is Burnett, and it's not about him, it's about you.
yeah.
But this is from him to you so that you can be your best self and you can start rising up into your true self, how you want to live it versus how the world tells you how to live it because we don't need the world to tell us how to live. Even though we
Mhm.
get our training coming up as children, parents will train us how. But at some point we take the reins of our life and we should do that with sovereignty, with the
Mhm.
little God, little Goddes, the little goddesses that we can
Mhm.
take the reign and live a life that's what we're laying down versus what the world tells us to. You know,
You you
I've got to read this comment by Florence. I don't know where she
okay,
got this
yeah,
from.
you read the comments. You do that. Any comments, questions, y'all pepper this comment
Listen,
section. Go ahead and read
Robert.
it.
Florence says, Netta, my husband say you sound like Michelle Obama. That's a great thing. Boy, that's a big thing. Listen, Florence, go hug your husband right now for me.
Wait,
The
Florence, who I sound like then? Like that's a word.
Woo,
Who I sound like?
boy, that is big. That makes my year being compared to Michelle
Uh,
Obama.
we
Oh.
this chat. Any other there are
I'm
questions?
trying to see. Oh, Bill says I love Michelle. Yeah, don't we?
Yeah,
Um, Florence, you shoot and ask questions later. That's a great statement. Yeah, that's what we're not going to do. Florence says, "You're a man with emotions. Men can be nurturing." Absolutely. Nora says, "I love framing it as wholeness. Yes, fully embodying the human experience, which includes tenderness and softness. And yeah, when we need to be hard, hey, we can do that too." Hey, TB.
Yeah.
Randolph says, "My dad was never more forceful and unpleasant to me than when he reminded me, don't wear your feelings on your shirt sleeve." Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Some of that comes from their own pain, not don't cry, be a man, stand up, do this, do that. That because that's what they got.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Great,
I
great comments, y'all.
promise y'all. So what this is reminding me. So I think of our parents, our grandparents, their parents, our great grandparents. They passed along. I think Dr. Yolanda Pierce calls them like these survival tools. That to the best of their ability, they were trying to raise black kids, or if
Mhm,
you're not,
mhm.
they're trying to raise black kids in an anti-black world. And that reframes so much of the wisdoms
Yeah.
that even some of those things feel outdated to us as we were growing into more freedom.
Mhm.
But we have to think that they were trying to survive, not necessarily even thrive. These are
Right.
survival mechanisms, and in you were talking about the altar of waste and being hasty earlier. I think of one thing that used to drive my father nuts was if he ever heard us arguing with one another. I mean, he
Mm.
already explosive and angry with us, period. But when he heard us arguing or fighting, when it would go to another level. And he used to say, something that I hated then that I cherish now is he would say, "You can argue with anyone else in the streets. You never argue with your family. Like, you
Mm.
never fight, you never put down he
Mhm.
your plenty of people." I mean, it was a lot of more cuss words in there, but I'm trying to be very but he used to "You can argue with any random piece of in the street. Why is it that you're arguing with somebody in your own home?" And although his method of teaching that wasn't good, I think what it taught me was the power of family, kinship, community
Yes.
with these are the people you want to go the extra mile with. These are the
Yes.
people you wanna, "Okay, let me slow down and think because these are people, right?"
Right,
So what do you I
right. Yeah, yeah. I think my dad felt the same way. Yeah, because he was big on us sticking together, staying together, talk things out, get a good understanding was another big thing for him so that we can walk together, right? 'Cause if we can't agree, we cannot walk together. We want to walk together. So a big thing for him too was be able to be in communion, be able to be in relationship with the siblings and then other people with like-minded, right? Because
Mhm,
they also knew we need one another.
yeah,
This raising up by yourself, I did it on my own, that's can't be legitimate. I can't
e
I find it hard to see that as truth because we
mhm,
all need somebody at some time. And that should
yeah,
be the beauty. That should be the beauty of us. That I have
mhm,
something that can help you, I'm going to lean into that, then forward it to somebody, pay it forward to somebody else. We all can go up. Particularly those of us
mhm,
wanting to go up, wanting to do
mhm,
better. So, yeah, they were
mhm.
big on family, big on sticking together. Yeah. Yeah, we got that
Yeah,
too.
it's kinda funny though, because my father could yell at us like nobody's problem. The moment we yell at one another, well, I tell you, he be stomping through that house, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, like,
It's a
okay,
different thing. Yeah, it's a different thing because he's thinking, "I'm teaching you, and at some point, I'm leaving you guys here, and I'm not leaving a mess." Right? I'm not leaving you guys, in a messy situation, so I'm stopping this now,
Yeah,
right?
he
So
did.
my fussing at you is one thing. Y'all fussing with each other, that's something else.
No, I tell you that big spankings, big, I, I, I love it. Like, I think as I was reading through the book, I felt like this, this beauty of resiliency, but like I think of the chapter where it was like you can do almost anything for a short amount of time, and I felt that my father taught me that, right?
Mm,
Like life sucks sometimes. It
yeah.
really does. But
Yes.
you can do almost anything for a short amount of time. And I
Yes.
wish if anything could be transmitted to the younger generation. Now, I appreciate the younger generation because they don't put up with a lot of stuff that we
Right.
had.
Right,
Nope.
right, right.
But I'll get another one. But I do think that there's something lost in, what you brought forth from in the book of Burnett is that idea of resilience, not weaponized resilience, but
Mhm.
yeah, of you can do almost anything for a short period of time. And so I'm just curious, what do you talk about that? Just even that title in
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I remember him speaking to us about things like that because, his thing was having your eye on the prize, kind of the long journey. I wanna get here. So
Mhm,
from where you are now to where that thing is where you get here, there's gonna be some journey, some stopping in between. And his thing was sometimes those steps may be something you don't want to do, but it
mhm,
may be part of the journey to that thing you have your eyes on. So
mhm,
understanding that this is a temporary short thing, you can do anything for a short period of time. Now, he wasn't talking about allowing yourself to be abused or, like you said, the weaponized
mhm,
resilience, but he was talking about learning this thing. Or, if you want to own a McDonald's, okay, be a fry cook, for 6 months or however long that takes so you can learn. That's doing something you may not, like see it as a great thing to do. For a short period of time, you can do anything. And I think that's one of the things he was talking about. Is, that look at the long game, make
mhm,
sure you're protecting yourself from harm, and go through it, learn what you can from it and take it to the next step.
mm. And that reminded me, that was one where I took a halting breath when I read that chapter because it called to mind when I was getting my master's degree. I worked for a large corporation that
Mm.
shall not be named because but it
Yeah.
was 500,
Okay.
and it was the worst job I've ever had in my life. And working and going to school, I literally had to keep that wisdom with me. My father said it differently, but I had to literally think, I just need to get through these 2 years because I need
Mhm.
up.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was time when it was time, I ran out of there. But it was hard, I think, without having my eyes on that prize that you're talking about. It was hard. I was
Mhm.
exhausted physically and mentally.
Mhm.
It set me up for this future that I am co-creating now. And
Mm.
but, that was a tearful robber for them 2 years. I
Yeah.
faced but that
Yeah.
seems like that was a century ago.
A century
But
ago.
I was so hard, and again, I think this is the kind of truths that I want a younger generation to know, that it is not okay to be in a toxic place,
Right.
and, period, next paragraph. do anything for a short period of
For a
time
short
mm,
period of time.
that you want to do in your life. So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And if you I would say, because I've had some jobs and things that I've done, that wasn't the best ones that I would wanna do, but if I can find the next step, even if it's not the longer term game, if I can say, "If I can get this to take me to the next step," it changed my perspective on that job I was ready to get out of. Imma
Yeah.
learn what I can, I'm gonna meet people. I'm gonna do, what can I get this? How can I get this? Because I know, this is gonna be short lived. I'm sure
Mm,
when you look back, Robert, those 2 years were probably quicker than you felt at the time you was
true.
there.
Actually, that felt like a century. That felt like hard camp.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
and
Yeah, and
uh,
I maybe that, being on your resume, could have lifted something, you don't know, but sometimes we have to go through a door for a short period of time, to cross over to the next room or do whatever it is we wanna do. Let's see, a few more comments. Florence, Robert, my husband says you sound like Damon Wayans.
oh yeah, and I'll take Damon Wayans' money. So tell your husband.
Maybe do some voiceovers or something, and then she said, "And yes, you can do anything for a short period of time. We always say that at work." Yes, okay. Okay, Florence and her husband, they're doing a thing over there.
Oh, they got a ministry there.
They're
Oh,
over there. Hey, Lamar. She just finished up a live herself, so I
oh,
have
I
to
like it.
catch the replay on her thing.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So, is there anything when both in writing the book of Burnett, because I know it's a process. It's the getting all the stuff together. Um,
Mhm.
you're having to work with parts of your family. Is there anything that is important for you to communicate either about getting things together, writing this, or I know how it is when you finish with a project and there's like, the big exhale and there's other things that may have come up that you didn't get to put in there. So I guess I'm gonna let you freestyle. Is there anything
Okay.
that's you haven't been asked that you want to communicate about the book, the writing process, anything?
Yeah.
We hear.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So this is a nonfiction, which is a lot different from a fiction I did, and I think because I felt like it wasn't just me. So my older brothers, they just, help come up with a list and, remember what dad says. We have a lot of lists. But I went inside me, quiet time, and listened to my dad. And it felt
Mhm,
like a partnership. It didn't
mhm,
feel heavy or hard at all. Um it felt like a partnership, and it felt like I got to understand and know him even better. And I know part of it that I have lived, to experience some of what he was talking about, so it felt more natural that, yeah, I get this. Yeah, like you said with your dad. Yeah, now I understand what you're saying. What you said was true. Yeah, you nailed that. I totally get that now. So that was a good thing, and I think having, so both of my brothers did a foreword. I think that felt communal. That felt
yeah.
connection. It felt honoring, our dad doing it together. And, not to say my mom wasn't a huge, big part of our upbringing. Without her, he couldn't have done all the things that he did. And so it was a team effort, and we couldn't get anything over on either one of those. They were
Mhm,
together the whole way. So I think that was a good part of it. And I did self-publish this, the whole thing, but it felt ease, and I felt like it was supposed to do, and the 42 just fell. There were more things in 42, but they just fell in place. And I think when it was done, I just felt something that says, "It's done, finish it. It's done now. Go publishers put it out and let's just see what happens to the world. Hopefully it'll help somebody. So that was a good part of the ease, and it was just a good remembrance, a good, some joy, some laughter. Even talking to you now, I remember things and I get a smile. And when you talk about your dad and how that similarity, that thread, that runs between them and among them, it's a very good feeling. And I think a needful, necessary feeling for whoever can receive this, young people, whoever receive it. And I think the second thing that I've been getting from people and talking and doing this tour is that people are wanting to remember their ancestors and remember the things they said, similar to how you start to think about some of the things your dad said. And some people say, "Oh, I think I might write it down," even though my journey was different from yours. My dad was totally opposite of yours. My thing is, there's still something to learn
Yeah.
from those experiences, even if it's like you said earlier, to know them better, to have more compassion, more understanding about what was driving them, whether that
Mhm.
behavior might have been to your liking or not to your liking. It comes from someplace.
Mhm.
So we can find some connection with them, I feel,
Mm.
in doing that and allowing that. And in return, it will help us, to not
Mhm.
make the same mistakes or to do something differently or live out our days with joy. And for me, that's
Yeah.
that's what I want to do.
I love that. I wanna wrap us up. I have a few things to say as I wrap us up.
Okay.
One, this work and even this conversation feels like a reclamation,
Mm,
right? Of those good things, those noteworthy things, right? And I
mm.
think we all can do that regardless of, our relationship with our parents. If it's not our parents, it's those people who are around at the beginning of your story.
Yeah.
Um, you can write those things down, and I've started doing that even with my
Good.
father.
Good.
And so it was funny reading your book. I was like, I just started this writing down some things that he said. And then I'm reading your work. I'm like, wow, okay, this is confirmation. But I think what that helps to do is those older people in our lives who helped formed us for better or for worse, they did have dreams for us. Now, whether they communicated it accurately or not, that's other part of the reclamation. But at one point, they had a dream for us.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
wanted us to be well,
Yeah.
right? And so, that intention, I can clearly see that communal bond all throughout the book. But I
Mhm.
also want to thank you for, especially, I think it's important that we're having this conversation in Black History Month.
Mm.
And I think your book adding to the canon of sacred words and beautiful words
Mm.
of Black men
Mm.
is beautiful. Like, I don't take that for granted. It is part of the canon of generative Black work, right? And we're in Black History
Mhm.
Month. So I
Mhm.
wanna thank
You're making me cry.
No, and so you being, that vision that it was in your heart,
Mm.
thank you for that. And I think that regardless of race or gender, when you read this book, you'll pick that up, right? And so, and then lastly, I wanna say, as a Black man reading this, and I said this before, but thank you for thinking of us.
Mm.
Too often, the depiction of us in popular media is only the negative, and so,
Mhm.
personally for me, I wanna thank you
Mm.
for adding our collective story, so thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, but most of all, thank you for the work you're doing. I think it
Mhm,
is allowing men freedom
mhm,
to be their true self, or at least to go find that true
mhm.
self, to peel
Yeah,
back the layers, to peel back the expectations, to find their true self where they're gonna be their happiest self, their most joyful self, being that.
mhm.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for all you do. This has been an amazing conversation.
No, thank you. I've only done this one other time so far with, Gary Green,
Oh, yeah.
and both times y'all have, like, it's just enjoyable dialogue. I didn't feel like this was, like, a super pressure thing. It was like, I enjoy this work and I wanna talk with someone about it. And then we wonderful people in the room, and so thanks all who came live,
Yes.
to all of you who will watch later. Yeah, follow, Netta Faye on
Yeah, True Self Society. You can get the book wherever you buy your books. I appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, Robert, keep us posted on your, educational exploits. I know you said that that light is starting to shine.
See
So
it in the
we wanna party hardy,
yeah,
as my generation would say, when that happens,
yeah.
yeah, give us a reason to party.
Oh, I'll be acting a fool on Substack the day that happens. No, you have a good night.
You
Y'all have a
too.
good y'all are awesome. Thank you, Netta.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Love you.